I was barely sitting down when I heard a voice from the other stall saying, "Hi, how are you?" I'm not the type to start a conversation in the men's restroom, but I don't know what got into me, so I answered, somewhat embarrassed, "I'm doing just fine." And the other guy says, "So, what are you up to?" What kind of question is that? At that point, I'm thinking this is too bizarre, so I say, I'm just traveling for work. At this point, I am just trying to get out as fast as I can when I hear another question. "Can I come over?" Okay, this question is just too weird for me, but I figured I could just be polite and end the conversation. I tell him, "No, I'm a little busy right now." Then I hear the guy say nervously, "Listen, I'll have to call you back. Some guy is in the other stall answering all my questions." 1. A pastor who, shall we say, was humor impaired, attended a conference to help encourage and better equip pastors for their ministry. Among the speakers were many well-known and dynamic speakers. One such boldly approached the pulpit and, gathering the entire crowd's attention, said, "The best years of my life were spent in the arms of a woman that wasn't my wife." The crowd was shocked. He followed up by saying, "And that woman was my mother." The crowd burst into laughter and delivered the rest of his talk, which went over quite well. The next week, the pastor decided he'd give this humor thing a try and use that joke in his sermon. As he surely approached the pulpit that sunny Sunday, he tried to rehearse the joke in his head. It suddenly seemed a bit foggy to him. Getting to the microphone, he said loudly, "The greatest years of my life were spent in the arms of another woman that was not my wife." The congregation inhaled half the air in the room. After standing there for almost 10 seconds in the stunned silence, trying to recall the second half of the joke, the pastor finally blurted out, "Ooh, Lord, and I can't remember who she was." 2. Two men leave a store. One man walks to his Corvette. The other walks out to his moped. The guy with the moped admires the Corvette, and the owner lets him take a look at it. He gets on his moped, the other guy gets into his vet, and they both leave the parking lot. The guy in the Corvette decides to show off and race out of the parking lot. He stops at a stoplight. Enjoying his music, he looks out the window and sees the guy on the moped flying by at about 80 mph. He can't believe a moped can go that fast. So he races up to the guy on the moped and passes him again to show how fast he can go. At the next stoplight, the guy on the moped speeds by once more. Finally, the Corvette and moped stop at the same stoplight. "How the hell did you go past me so fast like that?" the guy in the Corvette asks. The guy on the moped, all flushed and pale, looks at the man and says, "My suspenders are caught on your car door." 3. While watching the World Series, the two pondered if baseball existed in heaven. "You think heaven will have baseball?" asked Jake. "I certainly hope so," Johnny said. "Tell you what, let's make a deal. Whoever passes through the pearly gates first comes back and lets the other know if there's baseball." "Deal," said Jake. They shook hands and sealed the deal. Sadly, moments later, as their team hits the game-winning home run, Jake drops dead, clutching his chest. The excitement was too much. Weeks later, Johnny was visited by the ghost of Jake. "Hey, buddy," said Jake. A startled Johnny shook off the sudden appearance of Jake's apparition and excitedly greeted his best friend. "Jake, you're back! How's heaven?" "Johnny, I have good news and bad news, my friend," said Jake. Johnny grew concerned. Okay. Give me the good news first. It'll make the bad news seem less bad." "Okay," Jake replied. "The good news is there is baseball in heaven." Johnny cheered at knowing he will eternally be playing baseball in heaven. "That's amazing news. Nothing you can say next will matter." Jake, putting a ghostly hand on Johnny's shoulder, said, "The bad news is you're the starting pitcher tomorrow." 4. He knocks at a young man's apartment and asks him, "Would you like to buy a top-of-the-line toothbrush? It's only $10. $10 for a toothbrush!" the man yells. "What moron would pay $10 for a toothbrush? You're out of your mind." "All right, then," the salesman continues. "Then, how about a fresh-baked brownie for $1? The man thinks it over and says, "Okay, why not?" The salesman hands over the brownie. The man takes a bite and spits it out onto the floor in the hallway. "My God, that tastes like crap!" he yells. "Well, that's because it is crap," the salesman explains. "So, can I interest you in a toothbrush?" 5. A man walks into a restaurant with a full-grown ostrich behind him, and as he sits, the waitress comes over and asks for their order. The man says, "I'll have a hamburger, fries, and a Coke," and turns to the ostrich. "What's yours?" "I'll have the same," says the ostrich. A short time later, the waitress returns with the order. "That will be $6.40, please," and the man reaches into his pocket and pulls out exact change for payment. The next day, the man and the ostrich come again, and the man says, "I'll have a hamburger, fries, and a Coke," and the ostrich says, "I'll have the same." Once again, the man reaches into his pocket and pays with exact change. This becomes a routine until late one evening. The two enter again. "The usual?" asks the waitress. "No, this is Friday night, so I will have a steak, baked potato, and salad," says the man. "Same for me," says the ostrich. A short time later, the waitress comes with the order and says, "That will be $12.62. Once again, the man pulls exact change out of his pocket and places it on the table. The waitress can't hold back her curiosity any longer. "Excuse me, sir. How do you manage to always come up with the exact change out of your pocket every time?" "Well," says the man, "several years ago I was cleaning the attic and I found an old lamp. When I rubbed it, a genie appeared and offered me 2 wishes. My first wish was that if I ever had to pay for anything, I would just put my hand in my pocket and the right amount of money would always be there." "That's brilliant," says the waitress. "Most people would wish for £1 million or something. But you'll always be as rich as you want for as long as you live." "That's right. Whether it's a liter of milk or Rolls-Royce, the exact money is always there," says the man. The waitress asks, "One other thing, sir. What's with the ostrich?" The man sighs and answers, "My second wish was for a tall chick with long legs who agrees with everything I say."